Now, another thing that A6X supports from a recent update is the support for viewing and editing Word documents. So it supports .document and .docx files. At the moment, unfortunately, you can't create a new document file, which would be awesome. That would be really, really cool if I could actually just simply create a new document file from the scratch. But you can always just save an empty one with the title, put it in here, and then continue editing. That will work. So as a temporary solution. However, here we go. We have like one document that I imported here. And when you open it up, you can have a couple of things here. So by default, you will have, I think this is the just the reviewing mode. And in the reviewing mode, you can slide up and down, and you can slide up and down with the stylus as well, or the finger. It doesn't really matter. You also have page navigation if you tap on the numbers. And you can flip between different pages here of the document itself, or you can just simply tap the page navigation. Very, very standard type of stuff. Then we have the option of basically document reflow. You can just simply tap here, the keyboard enters, or you can use the Bluetooth keyboard that you normally have, and then you would be able to tap as you normally would. New content here. So that definitely works. However, let's say that maybe I wanted to kind of change some things a little bit. So let's go, this is new content here, and then maybe I can use backspace to kind of delete it, or another enter here. It will kind of stay in the bullet point. So I don't know how can I get outside of the bullet point mode here. Also, I don't think that there's an option to format the text, like change the font size, font type, justification, and all these kinds of things. I don't think you have those options available here. At least that's not what I can see. Can I do a long press and select a word? No. However, if I add, for example, now when I'm in this, whatever they call it, mode, where I can mark it up, I can just, if I cross out a word, normally, it should recognize as deleting it, right? So I can just delete this as well. Yep. Then I can also, when I have more sentences here, if I write top to down a vertical line, but you can also see that I have a problem with the detection here with the palm, so it's not ideal. It's definitely something that's being developed as we are, so we're talking about it. But yeah, now I have the same issue. It's like I am in the edit mode, and I don't know how to get out of the edit mode, and in the edit mode, I can't, there we go, I can write now. So while I'm in the write mode, I should be able to write a top-down line, and it understands that it makes a new line. If I write an down to up line, it should, but it doesn't. This should take the line up, previous line, it should make it go up. So that's something that I can't seem to get it to work. Down to up, up to down works. Down to up, no, it doesn't work. And it should return it down up here. And there's also another one, which is like a transposition. So this is like this one here. It should change them, but there we go. So that kind of worked, but it didn't recognize the space. So if I have like flexibility and versatility, nope, it did not recognize. Yeah, so maybe it's better if you start zooming in, and of course you can pinch to zoom in and pinch to zoom out and then kind of move around. So let's try and see if it's a little bit better when I zoom in a little bit here. And it's slow, so it's most definitely slow, and this is content that doesn't have any kind of images or anything like that. Plus I can't really pan. I don't see an option of there. Oh, I can pan, but with a single finger, is it? Or is it like a slide bar? Oh, so it's like a sliding bar. All right, not ideal. So you can navigate around it when it's zoomed in, but it's a little bit, yeah, a little bit slow and not exactly great. However, let's try and see if now it works a little bit better. So deleting a text works, going to a new line works, and going back doesn't. Nope, it just registers it, but it doesn't do it. And if I transpose these guys, it worked this time. So wait a minute, was it... This worked, but down and up, so that works. And if I go like this... Okay, so definitely it performs better when zoomed in. So maybe it's the precision of my drawing on that small zoom in or the far away zoomed out view that caused it to actually kind of get confused. But does it work on more than 2 words? No. So, okay, when you're zoomed in and when you draw more precisely, then it definitely works, and that's okay. The only thing I couldn't get to work is the down to up kind of thing, and it just doesn't do, or at least I'm not understanding fully what it should do. As far as I understand, it should move it up in the previous line, but it's not doing it at the moment. However, adding a new line is definitely an easy thing to do. So yeah, some of the stuff works, and you do have basic editing functionalities here for Word files, which is definitely handy. Is this an editing, Word document editing functionality that I would choose to go to as my primary one? No, it's too slow and a little bit too clunky. However, I do have an option if I'm in a pinch and I don't have another alternative to actually review a document and maybe type it up a little bit and those kind of things. But most definitely it wouldn't be my first choice of where I want to handle my Word document editing and yeah, creation. Alright, so now let's test out the new one, which is the Kindle. Once a new app is installed, it appears here in the main menu, and then you can rearrange it also and do what you want. So let's fire it up, and I fired it up and I logged in already. So once you log in, you have your normal traditional type of a Kindle look. If I go to my library, you can see it that it actually opens up and it's all fine. Again, you know, it's very nice to have that black, that it's really, really black. However, it would have been very, very nice if I had an option of adjusting the contrast here so that it's a bit less contrasty, because this is a little bit too strong. As an app, it definitely works. Here we go. So it opened up. If you tap, it goes to the next page and it works as you would expect it. A little bit on the slower side of things. Definitely on the slower side of things. And the tapping is not most... There we go. So if you do a lighter tap, then it's a bit better. Then again, it could be a bit better as far as the responsiveness to the taps goes. Now, when you tap a page in Kindle, it will simply flip to the page without any animation. However, if you do a swipe, then it's going to do that terrible swipe thing that's actually happening. So, and since we have very slow refresh speed here, because it's an e-ink screen and we don't have speed control on Supernote for the screens, or A2 mode or anything like that, then you get this very, very slow type of a thing. So for me, effectively, only the taps are the ones that I would actually use. But as you can see, they are fairly slow. I would like to actually see them much more responsive, because this is like 1001, almost 1 second of a delay. 1001, well, this one didn't actually count, so it's fairly slow. If I tap in the middle, I should get my options, and after a little while I do. And yeah, I have all the normal options that I would normally have in a Kindle app, including the formatting and of course the dark mode, which actually works perfectly fine. So if I switch to dark mode, there we go. But then again, we have that issue of the contrast because it's a little bit too strong. But either way, it works. It definitely works, and it looks gorgeous. It looks really, really nice. Everything else is pretty much normal, just a normal Kindle app. You have your x-rays, your bookmarks, and everything else. Now, yeah, we can't, of course, write on it. It will detect it as an input, yes. But oddly, even the pen is not a perfect There we go. So it can see, it actually misses input from the pen when I tap on it to flip a page. So something is definitely hogging it down inside. I think he gets an input, but he doesn't interpret it as an input. I don't know, something is a little bit off, but yeah, definitely input interpretation could be improved, because this is not my fingers, this is just the stylus, so it should be 100% correct. Can we actually long press on a sentence? Yes, we can. And then we can expand this. So this is really good. So everything that you normally would expect in a Kindle seems to be working fine. A little bit slow, but Kindle on a Supernote definitely is there and it works. In the settings, there's quite a few things that are important actually to cover, because yeah, lots of useful stuff here. First of all, you have the My Account, so nothing really important there. But then we have the Synchronize feature, and the Synchronize options are pretty cool, because you can of course synchronize with the Supernote Cloud, and then you go to the cloud side, and here you set up which folders you want to synchronize. So you don't have to synchronize everything. You can keep a folder offline if you choose to do so, which is a really cool thing. More importantly, you have the Dropbox synchronization. Once you actually synchronize with the Dropbox and you log in, it's a very simple thing. You just have a QR code, you go there and you log in, and that's it. And once you are, then you have the exact same thing here, except this time it's for the Dropbox. So you can select which folders you want to synchronize, and then you can always synchronize, for example, export or document or inbox or whatever it is that you may want to do. You can simply synchronize with that, and then it just works normally. And on Dropbox you will get a dedicated folder which is just for Supernote. Then you have your regular Wi-Fi connection, and it supports both 5 GHz and 2.4 GHz. Then we have this option here, device connection, and of course we can use it to connect with Bluetooth devices. And then this is where you enable the Bluetooth, and then you can scan for other devices. Next we have display and input, and this is where you can change the overall font settings of the device itself. So you can have 3 different types of sizes. Then you have date and time, language to choose from, only simplified Chinese, traditional Chinese, English and Japanese for now. Then we have keyboard settings, and in the keyboard you can use different languages, so you can use up to several languages, maximum 3 I guess. But again, we are limited to which ones can be used, and it's again simplified, traditional Chinese and Japanese. Hopefully that's something that's going to expand in the future. Then we also have stylus calibration, preferred settings such as left-handed or right-handed use, default template of note, so that's also where you basically choose your default template that you want a new notebook to use. And of course screensavers are set here as well. Security and privacy, so I always disable user experience project on every device, because simply I don't like devices communicating in their own free time with other servers. You can also set your PIN code if you wanted to enter a PIN code, and then that's your lock and unlock for the device, normal PIN code, how it works. Then we have battery information, where you can adjust your sleep time. In the system settings we have the firmware versions, updating and system reboot and clean cache and all that kind of stuff. And factory initialization is also in the system. Then we have the about, which is going to be about the Supernote itself, where you can actually rename it to be your own, what's something that you might want. Now the application one is interesting and important, and it's becoming important since the latest update that I received when I was while I'm filming actually this one. And that's the one that brought the first app that you can actually install, which is Kindle. And this is a totally new thing, the third-party application management. So once you go there, this one was not installed, you could install it. So you just tap on it, it installs, and there you go. So once it's installed, apparently the newly installed apps appear here. So that's a very, very cool thing. And also we have an option to rearrange and turn on and off these things and all that kind of stuff. Then we also have the tag setting of the slide bar. So that's exactly where you do this. So these are considered like applications, if you will. And as you can see, they match this. So the only ones that you can't get rid of are document and note. But for example, I don't use recent that much at all. So I'm just going to remove the recent completely. Mailbox I use, files I use, but not that much because I also go outside of it. So I never actually go into files themselves dedicated. So I'm just going to remove that. And maybe, yeah, maybe I would like the Kindle to be above here, just below the notes, or maybe even here. No, it's actually better that it's down here. And so as you change this actually is reflected in the slide bar here, which is excellent. So you have this very nice way of customizing things to actually make it your own. And it's really exciting to see how they're implementing the apps, which is funky and really, really cool. So I really like that. So that's in the application tag settings. And then you also have introduction of support applications. And this is basically how you get your Supernote partner app on the Android. Now, this used to work, but unfortunately on Android, I'm getting like a update that doesn't seem to be working, and it's not letting me use it, which is a shame because the partner app really works great, but at the moment it doesn't work. So I can't really do anything because I can show you. Because all I get now when I launch my partner app on this one is to update, and the update actually downloads not from Google Play, but from somewhere. It just downloads an APK file, and if I try to install it, it says install failed, and I can't update it via Google Play. So this is kind of locked at the moment for me. What it actually does is you would enable this one here, which is LAN connection. And then if your mobile phone is hooked up to the same Wi-Fi network, not internet, just Wi-Fi network as the device, then you can actually simply share files and send files to the device directly from your phone. So that's a very, very cool thing, something that I used, and it was very, very quick. And I was looking forward to demonstrating it, but yep, we have this kind of issue. So hopefully that's going to get changed. Now let's explore the storage options. So you are able, of course, to simply plug the device in, and automatically it's gonna, this is the first time I've actually plugged it in. So now it's, the window is saying on the other screen that we're setting up the Supernote A6X. There we go. So now it's set up and ready, and it's registered as MTP USB device. And yeah, when I double click on it, you can get and see that it's a Supernote. And once I go in, I have all of the in the directories that you normally see. So what's extremely nice is that you have this perfect correlation between the folders that I see here on the device are exactly the same folders that I see on the PC as well. And yeah, there's no confusion. There's no stuff that is kind of weird or whatever. And transfer speeds are fairly fast. So let's basically, I can show you immediately how this works. So let's just go into technical documents, right? So outside of technical documents, I'm just going to create a new folder. So here I'm going to create a new folder, and I'm going to name it, I don't know, test folder, right? And then I just press enter, and you can see that it's immediately updating with the device itself. Here we go, documents, and this is 1.13 gigabytes. So I'm just going to drag and drop them here, and let's see how quickly does that go. So 1.13 gigabytes for my taste, this is going perfectly normally and as expected for a USB 3 device. And yeah, shortly it's going to be done soon. And there we go. And now that that's transferred, yeah, I can just kind of go into here, and let's see if I go into my test folder. There we go. all of the stuff is already here. Now, the one that it took a little bit time on is a 785 or an 800 megabyte large document with 10,600 pages. So the performance for me is more than good enough, and yeah, it automatically does everything that it needs to do. So extremely straightforward way of doing these things. I do like it quite a bit, and of course it reflects that if I delete it now on a computer and I just delete this, it will be deleted from the machine immediately as well. Right, so now this is something that I haven't tested on it, so let's see what happens. It doesn't mention that it has OTG capabilities, but why not at least try it out? Hey, we are getting power at least. What happens if I slide in this dude with the storage? Well, it's blinking. So it's definitely getting power. I don't have an option to recognize it that I can see. At the moment, it looks like that we don't have an option to access external USB drives. All right, so I genuinely did not test this yet. It says that it should work with the Bluetooth keyboard, so let's try it out. I'm gonna fire up my keyboard here. This guy into pairing mode, so there we go. So let's scan for devices. There we go. So I had to rescan and now it found it. Okay, so this is the keyboard that I'm looking for. Now it's pairing and it says that it's connected. All right, so we are where I would like to write. And let's see here. Yeah, it works and it detects it. It tells me that I'm using an English keyboard here via Bluetooth, which is all fine, but the performance is very, very slow. So, yeah. So let me try and write normally. This would be my normal speed of typing or writing. So it's not terrible, but it is definitely on the slow side of things. And especially if I were to, so let's see, does Control Select work? No. So Command Select. No. So this is, yeah, the keyboard technically is implemented there, so you can type, but I think that the only level of implementation currently is that the keyboard replaces the keyboard, the virtual keyboard that you would type in. Again, this just confirms it's not something that I would use to type my documents in. Alright, so now it's time to sum up the Ratta Supernote A6X, and as usual, let's start with the cons. Well, for me, the absolute biggest con number one has to be the battery life. I didn't notice that much battery life dropping off rapidly while using it for reading and all these kinds of things, so it was a very, very big surprise when I actually saw it drop off that much when I was doing that 1 hour test. I think that this is something that most definitely can and should be fixed with one of the upcoming updates. And having experienced Ratta and how dedicated they are to their platforms, hopefully that's going to be the case. Con number two for me has to be the text recognition. So while I do appreciate the direction where it's been changed from the previous platform, which was like completely unusable, now it is more functional because it's integrated into the notebook itself. The benefit is that what they're working on is the offline text recognition. Now, obviously that offline text recognition comes with a big negative, which is I can't make it recognize anything usably. So currently I've tried with all kinds of different writing styles and block letters and tidy, untidy, large, small, doesn't matter. It always is just like ta-da, nope, that was not what I wrote. A step in the right direction, but as far as functionality goes, it's not there yet. Hopefully that's something that we'll see improve dramatically and rapidly in the coming updates. But as it is now, definitely not good. For me, the performance is also a con, mainly because it's a quad-core CPU with more RAM and all that kind of stuff when compared to Supernote A6. Now, I fully understand that this guy is running an Android Android underneath, and the A6 was running a Linux, which is like a huge, gigantic difference between power consumption and requirements and all that kind of things. However, as a user, as a consumer, the end result is, if I pick up Supernote A6 and then I pick up Supernote A6X, and in the general type of performance like menu switching, diving, going from document to a note or document listing and swift flipping pages and all that kind of stuff, I don't really feel much difference at all. And that's definitely going to be a con, because same as Supernote A6 was, it's a laid-back device. It's not slow to frustrate you or anything like that, but it's definitely chilled out and laid back, and everything you do, you have to wait a little bit. Like, it's not too much to kind of disturb you, but it's there constantly. So that tiny little laid-back attitude is constantly present, and I wish that we would be able to actually see an improvement on that, especially with these improved internal specs that the device actually has. Now, I fully realize that Supernote is a note-taking oriented device, and as such it really shines. As a reader as well, it's perfectly capable and usable. There's one thing that would make it even better. As an EPUB reader, like reading ebooks, it's really good. Everything works and it's all fine. Maybe a little bit slow on formatting and all that kind of things, but again, that's probably going to get improved over time. However, for PDFs and technical documents and all that kind of stuff, I do lack a little bit of sophistication as far as the page formatting goes. Now, I don't think that it should have like reflow or anything like that, but simply better navigation options so that if you zoom in on a page like Books has, that you can actually flip from quadrant to quadrant. I think that's tremendously important on a smaller format that the 7.8 inches is. For the price range and taking into consideration what the competition brings to the table, mainly Books, Nova series, this one has to do a little bit better so that it's a bit more of a complete package. Supernote A6X is not a front-lit device. For me personally, that's not a con at all, especially because it means that it has very small distance between the writing tip and the actual writing feedback that you get. I fully realize that a lot of people are going to be interested in that and concerned about that, so yeah, you have to realize that Supernote A6 is not a front-lit device, and as such that can be a con for some. I found the default calibration of the contrast in the documents, for basically in the reader, to be a little bit too aggressive. So I wish if we could have the ability to maybe have the current value somewhere at maybe 1/3 or maybe even half, because it's very strong. It as I said, it gives beautiful blacks, like fully rich blacks on the screen, which is something that you don't often see, and it's a very nice thing to see. However, again, in those PDFs and technical documents, it's too dark. And if those images are very important to you, it would be great if we had that calibration a little bit differently, so that when we need, that we can actually lower the contrast from the position where it's now. Currently, we can just increase the contrast, but we can't reduce it. And that would be a very cool thing, because then we could get a little bit more flexibility in the document reader side of things as well. Build quality is exactly the same as it was with the Supernote A6. And for the price, I think for me personally, that is a con, because we're talking about a package deal like $400, roughly around, plus or minus 20 bucks for this device. And that's a lot of money. And while there's nothing inherently wrong with it, the feel is just not 400 bucks. That's as simple as it gets. It doesn't feel in the hand, and when you're using it, it doesn't feel like a $400 device. And hand in hand with that, I think it's a bit of a missed opportunity, and that Supernote A6X should have been a little bit thinner and a little bit lighter. It was fine with Supernote A6 because it was the first time it actually appeared. But with Supernote A6X, it would have been a good opportunity to use different materials and maybe to try and kind of thin it down so that you can get a more improved type of a feel for the device itself. I certainly hope that that's something that happens in their next generation of devices. And finally, for me, that price. So the price is not a con, but it is definitely a big question mark that has to be taken into consideration. We're talking about around $400, so $380 or $420, depending on which package deal you actually get. And that's a huge amount of money for a 7.8-inch device. And that, when taken into context that Nova 2 or 3, well, Nova 3 now, actually costs as a package deal now $340, or you can actually even get it less, but let's say listing price is $340. Like right from the get-go, it's a bit cheaper. Now then again, for Nova 3 to even reach this type of a writing feel and everything else, you have to buy a different screen protector and you have to buy a different pen, and then you're gonna approach this $380 mark. So yeah, that's gonna be a difficult one to actually balance. That's gonna be done in a separate video. But yeah, I don't know, maybe it's not a con, maybe it's just me, but to me it feels that it's a little bit on the pricier side of things than it should be. Now let's cover the pros of the Supernote A6X. Number one thing that strikes me with the Supernote A6X and the whole new kind of format and new functionalities that are added with the Android platform and the new operating system that it actually introduces is just how excellent the note-taking focus of the device it is. Their selling slogan, or the device slogan, is "for those who write," and it really feels it. The immediacy of when you hit that plus sign, immediately that the notebook is there, it opens up with your default template, with your default pen, and when you actually go to the full screen mode and you just start writing, that's the only thing you focus on. And this ties me into the second really big pro and an important pro of the Supernote A6X is the writing experience. Either with the default pen or the Heart of Metal pen or the Lamy pen, they offer different types of experiences, but whichever you choose, the writing experience is excellent. And the things that actually matter most, something that really impressed me with the Lamy pen, because I used it now on several devices, when paired with this screen protector and with this device and how it actually functions, this is the first one that can fully utilize the sensitivity that the Lamy pen actually has. So as you remember, when I showed the pressure sensitivity of the pressure sensitive brush here, is that you can, even when you set it all the way to the maximum, you can fully control from the thinnest of the lines all the way to the maximum thickness. Now, do I wish we had more brushes and more of a range? Absolutely. But even as it is now, this says that the underlying technology, or basically the brain of the thing, is focused on the note-taking aspect, and it definitely feels. And the end result is that as a note-taking device, when you're taking notes and writing on this, it feels really comfortable, it's very, very fast, it's super accurate, and your handwriting, the end result, which is the most important thing for me, the end result of what you've written is very clear, precise, sharp. All those things combined together give you an excellent writing experience on the Supernote A6X. And the thing that I also love, I loved with Supernote A6 and I absolutely love with Supernote A6X is the format. So the portability and the format itself, I know that somebody will say like, well, Nova is also the same 7.8 inches. Well, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the whole package, how it feels and how it is to use on a daily basis. And for me, it's something for a note-taking device and note-taking kind of thing overall in general. I prefer it way, way more than the Nova 2 or 3. So that's something that I very much love about the Supernote A6X. The fact that we can open up, review, and do some editing if you really have to of Word documents on the Supernote A6, combined with the email functionality and all that kind of stuff, pro as far as I'm concerned. And from the latest update that you saw me actually get while I was filming the review of this, we now even have the Kindle app. And we have the first glimpse of what it is they plan and how they plan to actually introduce installation of apps and management of these apps. And the first impressions are excellent. It just works as a normal Kindle app would. The speed could be improved a little bit as far as I'm concerned, because that tap kind of delay for reader, it's not such a big deal, but I don't see why would it have to be there. So a little bit of improvement there definitely would be very, very beneficial, but I love how it actually fits into the whole Supernote ecosystem. I really like that. Another thing that's a huge plus for the Supernote A6 is that because it's so cute, portable, and an excellent format, you have a huge range of accessories. So different types of flipbook covers, different types of heart of metal pens with different designs and all that kind of stuff. And all of that actually gives really nice way to customize and personalize this digital notebook device basically to your needs. So that's something that I very much appreciate. I also love the fact that it's not closed down, and it offers you the ability, as you can see, the little hedgehog that I really love, to put your own screensaver screens, and yeah, you can take screenshots if you want. If you've drawn something, you can take a screenshot of it and put that as a screensaver. The fact that you can easily load up your own templates into it. It's just a very personal type of device, and it invites you and allows you to make it your own. So that's something that I truly love. Connectivity is a very important part. All the necessary stuff is there. You can definitely plug it in with a USB and simply transfer the files over to it. And not only that, but the directory structure and how it's organized internally is made so that the experience is very easy. It's easy to find what you're looking for and all that kind of stuff. And you also have the Bluetooth functionality now. And as we've seen, you can hook up a Bluetooth keyboard to it, which is great. However, it would be even better if we would get, like in future updates, the ability to actually create a new Word document inside of it, not just open up, but actually create a new Word document and then you start typing on it. And if you actually are inclined to type on it, then it would be very beneficial if we could get an improved performance, because currently the latency is a little bit too long. So it's not something that I can ignore. So unless I absolutely have to, I will choose not to type on the Supernote A6X as it is right now. However, if the performance and the latency improves between the keyboard and what you see on the screen, then definitely it becomes something that could be quite interesting. And when talking about the pros for the Supernote A6, we really cannot forget, and I can't stress enough, just how good this heart of metal pen is. Yes, it doesn't have a button. Yes, it doesn't have an eraser. Absolutely, those are things that it doesn't have. But what it does have is an everlasting ceramic tip, which again, do not use it on other devices because you're likely to damage them. However, in the combination with their screen protector that they have here, it feels really good. And again, it's something that you don't have to worry about. And the nib never spends. So that's definitely a plus. And the build quality of this pen is just like, why can't other pens be this good? I would much rather pay a premium price for this pen if it had like a button and the ability to put in regular nibs that all other markers use, so that I can use it on different devices, than I would for a Remarkable or a Staedtler or any of those, because this is just an amazing quality and it's so gorgeous. I just wish I could use it on other devices as well. Who knows, maybe in the future. Here's hoping. And finally, for me, the whole thing is basically, yeah, the package of it. Design as a whole experience. Somebody was really thinking about this, and it feels like a notebook. You have your pen really nicely fitted here. You open it up and you immediately start writing, because it has automatic wake up function. So by the time you've actually flipped it open, it's ready. It's definitely ready for you to start writing, and when you're done, you just flip it back. And I've noticed that I keep using it as a notebook. It's almost always in the notebook format, and as such, it absolutely rocks. So how to summarize the Supernote A6X? For me, as a note-taking device and as a device in general, I think that the Supernote A6X strikes a wonderful balance, delicate but a wonderful balance between distraction-free and functionality. So it actually manages to balance those two super nicely, and I think it has to do largely with the format itself, but also this slider on the side. That's just a brilliant type of thing, and it changes the overall usage quite a lot and just makes things kind of fit together in a very good way. However, not everything is rosy, because currently the battery life and the lack of usable text recognition functionality take away from the functionality and the overall impression of the device. Thankfully, those are two things that can and hopefully will be improved in the future via the updates. And Ratta has an excellent track record as far as their customer relations go and support of their products. They really take them seriously. They really care about the customers, and they very much care about their product, so they're trying to improve it properly. So it's not unreasonable to actually expect that these two issues will be fixed sometime in the future. As a reader type of a device, it has some flexibility, but it's more on the functional side of things. So everything works and it's perfectly usable, even though it is on the limited side of things. So yes, it has some limitations. It doesn't have any bells and whistles, but most of the stuff that you want it to do, it has. I would categorize it that the note-taking is its primary role and the reader type of functionality is its secondary role, and as such, it works and it's definitely functional. However, this reader experience could be further improved by fixing and improving the contrast control so that we can lower it for images-rich documents, a little bit better document formatting for PDFs. Just a little bit more sophistication in the PDF formatting would actually go a very long way on this device, because everything else is there. It's just lacking that little fine touches to kind of tune it into a very, very functional and a robust type of a reader experience. Even if it stays as it is now, it's limited but completely functional and usable reader device. However, battery life, text recognition, limited document formatting options, and build quality become a little bit of a problem when you put the price into the whole story, because the cheapest option that you can get this is at $370 if it's not on sale, and that gives you a basic fabric cover and the basic pen, which I think comes with the ceramic tip, so everlasting pen. Then the next range is around $400 or $410, depending on which type of cover you get with the Heart of Metal pen, and the most expensive option is this one, the Superstar with the Lamy pen, and that's at $420. So when you actually put all of those things together, you do get premium experience, but you really have to pay for it as well. And for that type of price range, I would expect these things that I talked about, primarily text recognition, battery life, to actually be improved. They really need to be tightened up so that that price can be fully justified. But as far as I'm concerned, if those issues are actually fixed, so of course not the build quality, the thinness and stuff, no, you can fix that. But if everything else, a little bit of performance tweaking, better battery life, better formatting, contrast control, and text recognition, all that kind of stuff, well, then the story definitely changes, and then it still remains a very pricey device, but worth the asking price. The bottom line for me is this: if you're looking for a portable, very functional and powerful note-taking device, and that the text recognition isn't of vital importance to you, but you also want to be able to read books and review documents from time to time, basically taking it as a secondary device role, right? Then the Supernote A6X will definitely fit that bill. As a note-taking device, it simply does a lot of things just right. It's fast, it's comfortable, it's precise, functional, and very enjoyable to use for extended periods of time. And with Ratta's general dedication towards their products and customer care and support, it has a very strong potential to become even more powerful, functional, and more of a complete platform. So there's one final thing that actually remains, and that's the question: how does the Supernote A6X compare to the Nova 2 or 3? Because they're virtually identical with some small differences. I prefer Supernote A6X vastly as a note-taking device over the Nova 2 or 3. However, if as a reader, I prefer Nova 2 or 3 vastly over the Supernote A6X. That, I think, is the bottom line for me, and the difficult part is going to be to kind of figure out the the rest of the stuff. If the primary role that you're looking for is note-taking and some ebook reading and some documents reading, then I would go with the Supernote A6X, provided that you understand that the battery life currently is problematic, that the text recognition needs to be updated, it's not really usable at the moment, and that it doesn't have a front light. However, if reading and reader capabilities, technical documents and stuff like that is the primary role that you're actually looking for, with some light note-taking, marking of the documents and all that kind of things, then the book's Nova series 2 or 3 makes a lot more sense because it's more powerful in that regard. And also it has a front light and it has a very functional text recognition and text search through the notebooks, which is a clear advantage as far as the note-taking capabilities go. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like and subscribe and ding the notification bell to get notified when the new videos are coming. And usually they're coming twice a week, sometimes even 3 times a week, depending on how much free time I have. You can also support my work on mydeepguide on the Patreon link below, and that's something that you can check out. So not only does it help channel to grow and me to actually devote more time so that I can bring you better quality videos and more diverse type of content, but you also will get a couple of times a month vloggy type of videos behind the scenes if you become an official patron. Just like a thank you for your generous support. Stay safe, stay healthy, and see you in the next video. Bye!